In the spirit of Halloween, I would like to do a bit of a throwback to a topic that is profoundly important to me, which is how to protect your living soul from evil spirits and demons at every possible level, from direct tangible attacks to psychological deceptions and manipulation, because they come at us in a lot of different ways that very few people understand. This is still quite literally one of the most important topics in the universe as far as the safety and evolution of human souls is concerned, but very few people are willing or able to explain how it all works coherently and articulately, largely because very few people have the kind of direct experiences I have with these beings. And a lot of the people who have had such experiences have professional careers and wouldn't want to jeopardize their careers by telling people the truth about reality. Also, it sort of borders on forbidden knowledge, and I've been trying to discern for a while how to outwardly approach the edge of forbidden knowledge without stepping over. Obviously, I've stepped over many times on my own, but that's only because the knowledge isn't actually forbidden from me. Knowledge is actually only divinely forbidden from souls based on the hierarchical layer of our moral evolution. And it is that way as a sort of mercy so that we don't hurt ourselves through temptation or have to endure profound sorrow without fully grasping the hope and purpose which endure beyond certain harsh truths about the nature of suffering. And one of the easiest ways to understand spiritual seals on consciousness is simply to think about the way that we often prevent ourselves from thinking about certain things. If someone talks about math and someone else doesn't want to know about math, they'll seal themselves to ignore them and not learn about math. They forbid themselves. If people talk about God, they automatically know that anybody who doesn't believe in or know about God is going to forbid themselves from listening. Same thing with the fundamental topic of forbidden knowledge. People will forbid themselves from thinking about forbidden knowledge because it sounds like a ridiculous concept. And if I talk brazenly about the nature of evil and the tangible mechanics by which evil spirits seek to exploit and traumatize human souls, then the knowledge is automatically hidden from anybody who doesn't want to think about evil spirits. A whole foundation of logic and desire has to be manifested and able to break souls through the seals on their own consciousness to give them higher awareness and purpose in reality. And extrapolating how to co-create this foundation of logic and desire so as to give all souls better access to health and to the lessening of our suffering is the labor of all righteous souls. And it is actually impossible for many people to manifest this foundation of logic which desires love and harmony without the assistance and observation of divine souls helping them. It's impossible to imagine without some level of assistance. And in general, it is much easier to seal and hide knowledge than it is to extract it and give it to people. And the proper way to extract knowledge and give it to people is to first help people establish a moral foundation for their desire and will, and then offer the next steps of logic which benefit their evolution. And there is indeed a sacred and eternal foundation of moral judgment built into the fabric of reality, but I'm not going to dive into the nuanced semantics of that right now because, again, it's forbidden for most people to understand, and I'd have to build a huge foundation of logic to properly formulate the conversation. Anyways, back to the point. How to protect all living souls from evil spirits. So, truly evil spirits are actually generally not allowed on the earth. However, the hell realm that they exist in is directly tangential to the earth, and so they are always trying to break into our world so that they can feast on human souls and deceive humanity into weakening ourselves so that we are easier to abuse and exploit. Theirs is a dimension of hunger, and ours is a dimension of profound prosperity, in spite of all of the ignorance and greed. However, these sorts of evil spirits would transmute the earth into a dimension of hunger and pure suffering as well if they could, because that is the nature of their will, of their ignorance, and of their cruelty, and that is the only way that they can gain power over other souls is through destruction. It therefore behooves all wise and intelligent people who wish to protect the earth to be vigilant, steadfast, and diligent in the act of preparing ourselves for demonic invasions, both in the sense of our individual souls being attacked and in the sense of helping to establish for as many humans as possible the hope and the virtues which naturally guard us against evil, even if we don't fully understand the nature or tactics of demons. If we have hope and love and a purpose in our hearts and souls, we kind of naturally can cast them away from us so that we can pursue our higher goals. Now, I haven't been fully attacked by an evil spirit in a while because I have a very powerful shield over my soul. God has given me profound protection because it is my true will to establish prosperity and justice and wisdom and love for all conscious souls, even though I've been a little bit awkward about getting it done because my soul has been half dissociated from my body for a long time. But that's its own complicated topic that I don't really need to fully get into right now. That is, however, one of the more advanced ways that evil has tried to attack good people. You know, it's tied to the whole Nazi scientist Operation Paperclip MK Ultra studies thing, is that they have learned how to traumatize us to specifically dissociate our minds so that we lose our purpose and our hope. And sadly, that worked really well on me when I was young. But again, I don't want to go into extreme detail on that topic for this video. The best way to combat that is to ensure that the people who are victims of such psychological trauma, individually as well as culturally, establish a sense of higher purpose, which gives them hope, which is an enormous topic to think about how to properly manifest. And at the end of the day, one of the best answers is just to make and share music. But aside from that, I wanted to speak more about being attacked directly by evil spirits, which generally occurs in one's sleep via what people know as sleep paralysis, which is actually a spiritual attack. Now, the frequency with which I have been attacked by evil spirits has diminished dramatically since 2020. Really, the last time I had an interesting attack was last year in September. But from 2017 through 2019, I know that they dwelled on the earth because I dealt frequently with both Satan and Moloch and other demons, who are some of the only evil spirits who have the power to even test the barrier which God has placed over my soul. However, because I haven't dealt with them much in the last few years, and for a number of other reasons, such as certain entities that I've spoken with, I do believe that they are currently sealed in hell. But like I mentioned earlier, they are always eager to break out of hell, and if they do, more than likely they will attack people like you, who are seeking sacred wisdom for good reasons, and who have some amount of pure mana in your soul that you need to protect, before they again come after someone like me, who is generally prepared to protect my soul from them once more. But they might just go straight for me. Who knows? And one of the reasons that not all souls have the same barriers of spiritual energy to protect them is because we have to be willing and able to protect that energy against evil, or else evil spirits will devour it from us. Furthermore, we have to be morally pure, or else we can use that power of that energy to cause harm to souls in many other ways. And this is sort of the culmination of the sacred reward which God gives to those who have a pure moral intent at the core of their will. And I can help you, or anyone who listens to my voice, have that same blessing, that same protection, by helping you to resolve your will towards a higher purpose to work to manifest harmony and love on the earth. Only by knowing that that is our true will can we come to sense what entities which hold a malicious will are observing, or sense when entities which hold a malicious will are observing or hungering for our spirits. Their observation, like the quantum slit experiment, is a tangible energy which we can learn to protect ourselves against and feel and understand. And if you are or have been attacked by evil spirits, I still define the energy which is used to separate them from our souls as a sort of righteous indignation. They are doing something which is completely amoral to someone who does not deserve it, and feeling how unjust and impure their evil is can help you to shake out of their grip and regain your shield over your soul. When we are conscious, our soul protects our body, but when we are unconscious, either via drugs or in deep sleep, they can either possess or drain the energy from our body if we are not prepared. And merely being aware of that possibility can significantly prepare us to protect ourselves from such situations. Now, it is actually hard to give this spiritual armor to a lot of very well-meaning New Age spiritualists who want to deny the existence of evil because they are not willing to protect themselves from evil, and evil spirits will devour the energy off of them. It's kind of awkward, and sadly this is a profoundly idealistic ignorance which has been superimposed over the general construct of the awakening community, which is at its fundamental core, the awakening community at its fundamental core is striving to manifest good and prevent evil, even if they don't fully understand it. And too many people just really like the sound of the fantasy that there is no evil, to the point that they'll actually try to attack you psychologically if you try to discuss the nature of evil with them and teach them about it. And that goes back to the topics on seals of consciousness. Seals on consciousness. These people embraced a seal on their own consciousness and made themselves unworthy of certain knowledge and power. And it's unfortunate because these are some of the most kind-hearted and well-meaning people, but because they seal themselves, the only way to protect them from evil is subconsciously and not consciously. We have to help them find hope and purpose and not ask them to rationally conceptualize the fundamental universal properties of evil. And these people will usually seal themselves in this way out of kindness because they don't want to be judgmental of others, but unfortunately this makes them deny the fundamental possibility of energy and will, which is cruel or pointlessly destructive. And this is something to understand about the nature of teaching in general, that many things can and must be taught at a subconscious level, which cannot necessarily be taught at a conscious level. We can help souls be made healthy, even if we can't force them to understand what they do not wish to understand about their health. Of course, I do prefer to try to help people understand things, but that just changes based on who I'm interacting with. Anyways, that's the gist of what it takes to resist direct spiritual attacks. You just have to be prepared for such things, have your will solidified in the pursuit of a higher purpose, and know that it's possible. And the more you understand true evil and are willing to prevent it, the more power God can give you in that regard. But of course, that means you have to be merciful and not overly zealous to accuse evil, because zealously condemning others is not actually pure of heart. Because most of the destructive things in the world come from ignorance rather than pure evil anyways. And actually all of the power that comes from God is tested in mercy and in love. Everybody who brazenly claims, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely actually has no idea how God tests souls for power. And they're making a deeply regressive assumption about an inherent weakness in all souls, which is fundamentally untrue. Pure souls can and do hold profound power without corruption. However, there is actually no such thing as absolute power. Not even God has absolute power, because we have free will. But I'm not going to dig into that and tempt people towards forbidden knowledge, because the best thing we can do with our free will is pursue the greatest prosperity and benefit of creation, which is what God is always hoping for us to do. And if we do that with sincerity, we will be blessed by God. Now, to finish, I'll address the psychological and spiritual warfare which demons and evil spirits wage to try to exploit and degrade human souls. Essentially, they do everything possible to make us unhealthy instead of healthy. And the things that make us unhealthy are all the classic temptations that people are familiar with. If you are proud, you are unable to learn. If you are greedy or wrathful, then you are willing to harm other people. And if you're obsessed with lust, you might sacrifice your ability to think more profound thoughts or to seek a higher purpose. Though I have been trying to restructure purgatory to be more merciful towards lust and use lust to help inspire people to be healthier. But that also might be some sort of weird magic which most people are forbidden from understanding. Anyways, if you're slothful, you are naturally stop manifesting prosperity around you, etc., etc. However, evil spirits usually can't just tell us that what they want us to do is unhealthy and then expect us to go along with it. Sometimes they can with like cigarettes and alcohol and stuff, but usually their eternal tactic is to try to invert our sense of virtue so that we think we're doing something good by making ourselves unhealthy. Usually they try to make us feel like we're being virtuous by filling our hearts with hatred towards others, which is essentially never correct. But there's also more subtle things like the whole push to pretend that, fat people are beautiful, which is presented as some new, more accepting and loving virtue. And meanwhile, we should all hate all the non-virtuous people who aren't attracted to fat people. When in reality, we all know that it's unhealthy and they're not as attractive as healthy people. And I'm not trying to be rude. That doesn't mean that we shame them or we are cruel to them. It just means that we hope, like any other conscious soul, that they can become healthier. So yeah, evil always constructs false moral divides to confuse people away from the sort of eternal divine scale of virtue which underlies creation and teaches all conscious souls how to be healthy, which is one of the understanding of which is one of the highest goals and purposes of all consciousness. Essentially, every mystery tradition, every religion, and ascended master have worked and are working to not just understand that scale of perfect morality by which all souls can be made more kind and prosperous, but to figure out how to share that knowledge with others in such a way that we can tangibly manifest an enduring structure for earthly societies which ensures a profoundly idealistic version of liberty and justice for all. And I sincerely hope that you are willing to help me make that happen, because my current plan to help develop a new societal structure for the coming age by which all conscious souls can develop the prosperity by which to ensure that less conscious souls don't hurt themselves and one another very much, well, they, constantly have the opportunity to develop a greater awareness of the properties by which suffering occurs so that they can avoid it. My plan for that is coming along a little bit slowly due to the fact that I have allowed some of my old wounds of despair to hinder my motivation. I confess I have sinned, and I am guilty in that regard. In any case, thanks for listening. If you've been around a while, you know that I did not say a single new thing here. I have just repeated everything that I've been saying for the past 4 years for like the 50th time. I guess I just really don't feel like I can move forward offering new wisdom and ideas to the world until I get, a couple million people to kind of comprehend these things and be more safe against evil spirits for the duration of the coming age. So if you want me to talk about something new, you kind of have to help more people understand some of these things. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments or ideas about how to help people be less generally ignorant or evil, please feel free to leave them below. And if they are good ideas, I might just send a team of immortal alien wizards to come psychically extract further details from your fragile mortal brain. So be prepared to discern whether it is a good or an evil entity coming to extract information from your brain, because it's pretty important to know the difference.